Hi, thanks for taking a little bit of time to sit down and watch this conversation. If you were sitting across the table from me right now, I'd probably pour you a drink and we'd have a great time talking. Have you noticed that there's just not quite enough time to get done everything you want to get done? At home, at work, anywhere. If you're a creative person and kind of driven, a little bit like I am, our ideas and the things we need to do and the to-do list is always bigger than the amount of time that we have to actually do it. So remember, leadership matters. And sometimes it's hard, but often we make it harder than it needs to be. So we're going to talk a little bit today about small changes that you can make that result in a big difference right away. Today we'll chat a little bit about the idea of how a counterintuitive idea that if you slow down, you'll actually get more done. That doesn't make sense. I know when I first started coming across the idea that to look at a whole day or a whole project or a whole plan that I'm trying to make happen, that there's so much to do, and what I tried to do is cram as much as I could into every waking minute. And I'm awake a lot of minutes. And maybe you start doing that too. And it's kind of fun. You get to the end of a day where there's lots of stuff that you got done. You got your to-do list all checked off, and kind of fun that the lines are drawn across the to-do list. I keep, by the way, on my digital to-do list on my phone, I have the option set so that when you check it as completed, it draws a line through it, but it keeps them there because it feels good to get a whole bunch of stuff done. At some point, I started to notice that just getting a bunch of stuff done pretty much meant that tomorrow I had a bunch more stuff to do. And my idea of what needed to get done was always bigger than what could actually get done, or perhaps what even should get done. I remember my grandmother saying to me once, "Your eyes are bigger than your stomach." And I thought that was a strange thing. Being a little bit of a literalist as a kid, I thought that was kind of an odd way to think about it, but I guess I understood it. My appetite, what I saw in front of me, was a lot bigger than my ability to accomplish it. So what can we do? Here's the idea. Small change you can make. Slow down. Slow down. If you've got lots to do, you're running late, you're feeling kind of frantic, slow down. Because if we just keep going a little bit faster and a little bit faster and a little bit faster until we feel like we're kind of getting a lot done, and then we screech across the finish line at the end of the day all sweaty and tired and irritable with everybody around us, day after day after day, we'll find ourselves starting to enter into that dreaded burnout cycle. It's interesting what happens when we speed up. Not for the pure joy of speed, but to try to get a whole bunch of stuff done. This tends to happen to creative and driven people more than folks who just are about their day, kind of functioning like, just task-oriented people who are not really thinking about creating something new. Almost like drones, they just go off to work. They don't experience this. Sometimes I envy them, but they don't experience this. Creative and driven people have got a whole lot more that could be done that in their mind that they feel like should be done than can be done. So how do we actually manage this? So our brain is really designed in such a way that if we start hurrying through something and then start feeling like we have to get it all done, and then maybe we can't get it done, then our brain tips into fear mode. And as we all know, stress is fear, fear is stress, the same thing. When we dip into fear mode, our brain doesn't function quite as well or as effectively as when we are not afraid. When we're afraid, we get into one of the dynamics we get into is what's called cognitive tunneling. Now, you've heard of tunnel vision before. We've all experienced tunnel vision when we feel we're stressed out and afraid about something. Our tunnel vision closes in, and all we can see kind of is what's in front of us. Cognitive tunneling is like that too. We can only think about one thing. Our thought process is narrow and narrow and narrow, and we're not able to notice things around us visually or conceptually. So it's called cognitive tunneling. When you and I hurry our way through the day, just hurry, 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 because there's so much to do, and we feel that fear like a wave building up behind us about ready to crest and come over the top of us, we get afraid, and our brain slows down, and then we miss things. So when we hurry through our day, hurry through a conversation, hurry through our to-do list, we actually start missing things. It's counterintuitive, but when you hurry to get more done, what happens is we create more work. The term for this that smart people use, and I've read about them, by the way, is rework. The idea that I did something, but I did it so quickly and poorly or partially that I have to do it again. It's called rework. Sociologist in New Zealand a while back did some study of blue collar and white collar and no collar workers. You know blue collar, you know white collar. No collar is what we typically think of as an IT worker or information technology worker. And tried to figure out how much rework was in their day as a result mostly of having a lot to do and feeling like they needed to hurry as they went through their work. He found out that the range was between 35 and 40% of the work that they were doing was rework. And that 35 to 40%, the vast majority of that, well over 3/4 of that bulk of work that they were doing again, was work that they could have done correctly the first time. Now boil it down to something as simple as, somebody gives you a phone number. You're talking to them, they say, hey, call me at this number. And you're going to probably need that number again. So what we do, because we're in a hurry, we write it on a Post-it note. Because we don't have time to actually, hang up and call them on the new number and enter it in our contacts. What we do is write it on a Post-it note. So a month later, when you need to call that person again, you can't find their number. And you have to go searching for it and call somebody else or send them a text or an email or something to get that new number. When really, if I had taken that moment to enter that number into my contacts, which would have taken 30 or 45 seconds longer than I felt like I had, then when I needed that number a month later, I wouldn't have spent 7 or 8 minutes with increasing levels of frustration and cognitive tunneling trying to find the frickin' phone number. That's one illustration. Multiply that by hundreds throughout your day and your week with little things and big things. And we now get to where our sociologist in New Zealand identified that massive amount of time we spend just doing things over. If you want to have some fun, kind of watch your day a little bit. Watch how many times you retrace your steps. Watch how many times you have to have a conversation a second time because you hurried through it the first time. Watch for when you have to go find your keys because you didn't take that extra 10 seconds to step over there and put them on the key rack where they're supposed to go. Notice that. So that stuff starts to mount up, and then as it mounts up, along with all the stuff that we feel like we should do, and probably should, all of our tasks that we need to accomplish in a day or in a week, that pressure starts to mount up on us, and we feel like the way to deal with it is to just go faster. And we found some benefit in that. We found some success in doing that, because if you go a little bit faster, you probably can get a little bit more done to a point. Then the rework kicks in, then the chaos kicks in, then the fear kicks in, then cognitive tunneling kicks in, and I just can't keep up. And I get into this spiral that leads me into burnout. Okay, what's the way out of this thing? Okay, we just spent a few minutes talking about the dynamic. You know it well. You probably, Starsky and Hutch slid sideways into the parking lot of this conversation, feeling like I really don't have time. How long is this video? Do I have that much time? You might have felt a little bit of that time pressure. Oh, I get it. How do we avoid it? Especially as a leader. If you're a leader who's like a leader or manager, supervisor, influencer of people, the decisions that you make, the quality of your decisions that you make, impacts other people's lives in an outsized manner. When you make good decisions, their lives are better at home and at work as a result of good decisions. So for you to be able to slow down, you'll get more of the right stuff done. Your decisions will be better. People's lives will be better as a result. If you're in a for-profit enterprise, the bottom line will definitely be affected because of your judgment in a positive way. If you're in a for-impact or not-for-profit kind of enterprise, the impact will grow. It really is a small change that makes a big difference right away when you slow down. All right, how do you do this? how do you slow down? First thing we got to do is notice that we are going fast. Notice that our mind is flitting from one thing to another. The Buddhists and people who talk about mindfulness have a great term for when our mind flits around like this. And I'm not a Buddhist and I don't play one on TV, but I love this phrase. We have a monkey mind. And imagine a monkey in a forest jumping around from one branch to another and from one treetop to another, screeching the whole way. That's the mind that you and I get. Isn't that a vivid picture? When we feel like we're in a hurry. Go, 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 and screeching the whole way and maybe yelling at other monkeys and throwing stuff at them. Let's not do that. Let's slow down. Because your judgment is the most important thing you offer as a leader. Making very good decisions that are only yours to make, and then helping other people be more effective as a result of your good judgment. How do we slow down? All right, here we go. Notice, first of all, that you're going fast. Notice that you're kind of racing like a monkey from one treetop to another. Notice that, you got to notice it first, because if you don't notice that you're kind of feeling that hurry, I feel it in my chest, and I feel it in my shoulders, and my hands start getting tight. And I notice that when I'm in a conversation with a coworker or a friend or a family member, and I'm in a conversation with them, that partway through the conversation, I leap onto the next tree. That's the next conversation with somebody else. And I'm not really there. Then I notice that I have to kind of back up and pretend I heard them when I probably didn't. And I end up on a night show TV with a puffy pirate shirt because I didn't even know what I agreed to. Reference for a couple of you who get that reference. Notice it first. You got to notice it. As soon as you notice it, try this. I know, here we go. Simple change. Big difference right away. Try this. I was breathing there. Do that while you're breathing. Inhale, hold it for a second, and slowly exhale. If you're around people, do it in a way they can't tell you're doing it. That makes it even better. While you're doing that, say these two words to yourself. Slow down. Do it again. Slow down. Now, I'm so good at going fast that I have to do it 2 or 3 times for it to start to kick in. You might only need to do it once. Slow down. All right, now that I notice my body starts to relax, it's just a few seconds. Then I ask myself the question, what matters? There are very few things in life that matter. Very few things. There are a few things in this conversation that matter. There are very few things in this project that matter. There are things that are fun and enjoyable and have to get done and make noise and all that stuff, but what really, really matters? Take a deep breath, slow down, and answer what matters. What matters in this moment, right here, right now. Now, if you're not practiced at this will be a little frustrating because you might think, everything matters, and you just got to jump around again like a monkey, okay? No, not everything matters. There might be right in front of you only one thing that matters. There might be 2 things that matter, but not everything that's on your plate, not everything that's happening around you that you feel like should happen actually matters. Doesn't matter. What matters? Some things matter, and they matter a lot. I'm not of the school of thought that says nothing matters, let's just float around. No, some things matter. They matter a lot, but there's not nearly as many of them as we might think. What matters? Okay, so I took a deep breath. What matters? And then I'm going to take the courageous step of spending my mind, my thought time, my actual clock time, my energy on that right now. And I'm going to finish that right now. I'll finish it before I move on to the next thought, the next task, the next thing. Finish it. Here's a quick word about what I mean by finishing it. There's a thing called a work cycle. Imagine a circle. At the top of the circle, there's need identified. And then you go around, after we've identified a need, then we make a plan. Then we go around that circle to implement the plan, or we execute. Then after we execute, this is a work cycle. After we execute, then we evaluate. Well, did that work? Could I have done it better? Did I miss the mark? Did it meet the need? Right? We're not finished with our work cycle when we evaluate. We have to add one more step. Celebrate. So the work cycle is need, plan, implement, evaluate, celebrate. That's a pause where you say, that's a thing of beauty. If you cannot do that a few times during your day, that phone call was a thing of beauty, That problem that we helped solve was a thing of beauty. That spreadsheet you created and double checked and the formulas all worked and you hit send was a thing of beauty. That graphic you created, there it is. It's a thing of beauty. You're finished. Not yet. You're not finished until you pause, step away mentally from that work for a moment, and admire that work as a thing of beauty. Just for a moment. That's a thing of beauty. Now, if you are an obsessive, compulsive, perfectionistic twit, and I'm a recovering one of those folks, so I can recognize you right away, you will probably get stuck in evaluation. Well, if only I should this, I should this, I should this, and it's a sewer. Get out of there. Evaluate briefly and get out of evaluation into celebration. And don't go back and forth from celebration to evaluation. It's a thing. Put it out there. Like Seth Godin says, ship it. Get it out there for others to see and use. And yeah, they'll criticize it, but it's still a thing of beauty. Still a thing of beauty. There. This will enable you, as I practiced this for years, this will enable you to be significantly more effective. You'll be able to slow down, determine what matters, spend your time and energy on that, complete it, take a deep breath and celebrate it, and then look at the next thing that matters. So when you find yourself getting all spun up and feeling like it's just too much to do in the day, well, of course there is. You're creative, you're driven, you're surrounded by those kind of people. Of course there's too much to do in the day. Slow down. Slow down. You'll get there faster because you get to the right place faster without distractions and rework. You get more done, more of the right stuff done. You'll have more to celebrate at the end of the day. People who are driven and spun up and busy all the time, those folks are not quite as approachable. So what happens, I've noticed as a leader, as we kind of come to the close of this conversation, if I'm so busy and so distracted, I find that those around me that I lead and care a lot about will withhold their perspective about a challenge or a problem because I'm kind of hard to approach, because my hair's on fire, right? So then that problem gets bigger or the opportunity goes away and I don't get a chance to get involved in it as early as possible. So there we have it. I hope this was helpful. I wish you were sitting right here across from me. I'd pour you a little bit of this wonderful bourbon and we'd have a sip together and light a cigar and have a great day. If this is valuable to you and you want to see a little bit more of it, go ahead and hit that like button at the bottom there and click on the subscribe button. There's also, you know how that works, some little bells, because if you want to know when this stuff comes out so you can kind of plan it in the middle of your crazy, busy, monkey day, then hit the bell as well. So remember, leadership matters. And it's hard, but sometimes we make it harder than it needs to be. Here's a small change you can make that makes a big difference right away. Thanks for spending time with me. Take care.